Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Little Life, and I've got another little quick shop project for you. When I bought the wheel kit to make my horizontal belt grinder, I also received the two small wheels that you would need to make a flat platen. And since I don't need that for my horizontal grinder, and obviously I had the one that came with my KMG, I had these two wheels kicking around. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to build a very small wheel attachment, and then also something that I could use as a slack belt grinder. So what I'm doing here is just making a little bushing out of a piece of stock that I had laying around from another project, and that's a 1/2 inch hole, and I just drilled that out and make sure that the depth is correct. And I'm going to need this to be a bushing that is about 15/16 of an inch long. Also, I had to turn the outside diameter a bit down just to make sure that it didn't interfere with the outer race of the bearing. Obviously I want it to be pressing on the inner race but have clearance for the outer race so it doesn't bind. And I just kind of clean up the surface finish with some emery cloth there. And then I'll just take a little Sharpie and I scribe the dimension that I would like the outside of my cutter to be. And I just kind of bring it close there, have an eyeball on it, and then we'll go ahead and use a parting tool and cut this bushing off. Ready for the slow-mo? Ah, yeah, there it is. And then we'll clean up the burrs, get it all cleaned up, and lay out where I want the wheel to be mounted on this bar. Now, these are the tooling bars that the KMG uses, and they're kind of nice because it's just 1.5" by 1.5" bar stock. Really easy to come by, easy to work with, and it just gives you the option to very quickly and easily make whatever custom tooling arms you would like for your KMG grinder. That's one thing about the KMG that I really appreciate as far as design standpoint is there's not a lot of proprietary stuff, and it's all quite easy to customize and make your own and kind of adapt the grinder to different ways to suit your needs without having to spend all kinds of money on factory-made equipment. So we're going to go ahead and drill this hole out, again using cutting fluid there. The biggest reason for cutting fluid is to keep the chips coming out of the hole to prevent binding. A lot of people think it is to cool the drill bit, and it is in theory to cool it a bit, but where most of the heat buildup comes from is the chips not being removed quickly enough from the hole when you're drilling it. And I'm drilling this out to a 29/64, which is the correct tap drill size for a 1/2 inch national course tap. One thing I like to do when I'm tapping holes is I will follow that main thread size with the outer diameter of the tap. So here I've got a 1/2 inch bit in there, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of counterbore about down 1/4 inch, and that just allows the tap to start nice and straight, and it kind of acts as a guide when you're tapping holes like this. And again, that's obviously dependent that you have enough meat to get some required amount of threads on, but with this bar stock I've got so much room in there, and there's so many threads that are going to engage the bolt that having a 1/4 inch recess there isn't going to make a difference, and it just helps make sure you get a really nice straight tapped hole. And again, with keeping the tap cleaning, I take it in and out, and I use a toothbrush to wipe off all the chips. The thing that breaks most taps is when they bind up due to the chips not being removed from the hole. So again, that's where the cutting fluid comes into play. It just kind of helps lubricate the chips, and when you're tapping a hole that's this long, you do need to stop and back it out, clean the chips out, and then go again and do that several times. Otherwise you just get way too many chips in there and you'll have a really poor surface finish on the threads, as well as it's very likely that you're just going to break your tap. And then we had that little rounded profile we put on there, and I'll just take this to the belt grinder and grind that down. This also has function reasons to it. It's not just for aesthetics, but I use these small wheels for putting fullers in the handles of a knife. A fuller is just a groove that you kind of grind into the blade, into the tang of the knife, and this allows me clearance when I'm doing that, so this should be a nice little attachment for doing so. And then I'll just kind of clean it up and get the surface finish done up a little better. and it's time to give it a try. So what I'll do is I'll just put it in here, bolt it down, and again these wheels have a sleeve that goes through them from the inside of the race of one bearing to the inside race of the other bearing, and that actually is really nice because I can tighten that bolt as tight as I want, and I don't have to worry about it pressing the bearings together. So that motion that you just saw there was how you'd use it as a slack belt grinder, and then again I can use it as a small belt. Let's change it up to a 36 grit ceramic and see if we can really hog some material. Also, for some certain contouring and profiling of handles, this is going to be a really handy wheel to have. And right there, that's the part that I was talking about when you're grinding a fuller in. Just a little groove in there, it really helps lighten the weight of the handle, and when you're trying to achieve really nice balance on the knife, it's a nice little feature to grind in. So all in all, it worked out quite well. Fun little project, took all of about 40 minutes to do, and I think it's going to speed up my knife making process. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.